What's going on, everyone? With the recent announcement of an Invincible TV series set to premiere on Amazon, I thought it'd be a fun idea to bring you guys a summary of the Image Comics' coolest hero. Fair warning, this is an abridged summary so you can have a digestible amount of information going into the show. I'll be going over the main players, the tone, and what to expect going into the show. Invincible is the brainchild of Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker, the same Robert Kirkman who brought you such things as The Walking Dead, with the main artists being Ryan Oatley and Corey Walker. For all my Marvel fans, you might recognize Oatley from Nick Spencer's current Amazing Spider-Man run. Fun fact, Invincible actually met Spider-Man in a crossover. The series spans a 15-year-long run, starting in January 2003 and finishing in February 2018. The world of Invincible leans heavy on sci-fi elements while playing around with your standard superhero tropes. We have your superhero teams, shadowy government organizations, galactic federations, and warring alien nations. The comic deals with such subject matter such as patriotism, sexuality, violence, assault, eugenics, and existentialism, all encased around the central themes of family, friendship, heroism, all in the eyes of a coming-to-age story. Invincible has a wide array of wacky and crazy characters, so let's just jump right into the people you're about to meet. First, we have Nolan Grayson. Take Superman and fuse him with Goku before he hit his head, and you get Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man. Nolan was a Viltrumite, born on the planet Viltrum. Now, I might be getting the words wrong. Sue me.
My God.
But the Viltrumites are much like Saiyans and Kryptonians in terms of intelligence and brute strength. At first, Nolan seems like your everyday, normal, average dad. Loves his wife, loves his son, he's a pretty good neighbor, an all-around swell guy. Well, that's until the twist. And I'm just gonna stop right there and say, hey, look, Invincible has a pretty cool twist. So if you're not looking to know the twist, I suggest you close this tab right now, go read the comics, and come back. But if you don't care about spoilers, here we go. Nolan turns out to be the bad guy. Say what?
What?
Out! Yes. Well, yes and no. You see, Viltrumites are, again, much like Saiyans. They conquer planets, going and spreading their seeds as far as they can, usually dominating weaker life forms and repopulating. Throughout the series, we see Nolan go through many twists and turns in his character. At first, he's a good guy, then he's an antagonist, and then after your classic redemption arc, Nolan becomes a good guy again. Yay, Nolan. At first, we don't really know if Nolan actually cared about his wife and kid, but as the series progresses, you really get the sense that he cares about Debbie and Mark. Next, we have our main protagonist of the series, Mark Grayson, aka Invincible. Mark was just your average, typical high schooler whose dad happened to be the champion of Earth. Think characters like Will Stronghold from Sky High, John Kent, aka Superboy, or Son Gohan for my Dragon Ball fans. Throughout the series, we see Mark going through a lengthy journey to become the next defender of the Earth. Adventures such as fighting mad scientists, a Jekyll and Hyde styled dinosaur, and also his dad. Along the way, he becomes a member of the Teen Team, this world's version of the Teen Titans, getting married to his longtime teammate, Adam Eve, becoming a father, a big brother, and eventually ruling the Viltrumite people, all in a day's work for a late bloomer. Debbie Grayson. She's Mark's human mom and wife to Nolan Grayson, and the adoptive mom to Oliver Grayson. She's a kind-hearted, caring mother and wife who only wants what's best for her family. But after Nolan shows his true intentions to the people of Earth, she becomes somewhat depressed and turns to drinking. Along the way, however, she becomes resilient and becomes a mother for the second time when she adopts Mark's half-brother, Oliver, at the behest of his biological mother, Samantha Eve Wilkins, aka Adam Eve. Adam Eve was bioengineered as a weapon, but after a turn of fate, Eve was swapped with the dead child of the Wilkins, thus being raised by Betsy and Adam Wilkins, who would become her new adoptive parents. She was born with a high IQ and the ability of subatomic manipulation, flight, energy blasts, energy constructs, and regeneration, which effectively makes her immortal. Eve's powers cause her to regenerate from fatal injuries due to trauma. So, consequently, whenever Eve dies of old age, she immediately resurrects and de-ages to her prime. She's Mark's best friend, and later becomes his wife and the mother of their daughter, Tara. Oliver Grayson, aka Kid Omni, or Kid Omni-Man. Oliver was born on Thraxa to Nolan Grayson and Andressa. He was born with purple skin as his mother's species isn't quite compatible with Viltrumite's DNA as humans are. He was later adopted by Debbie and went on to be the sidekick for both Mark and Omni-Man as Kid Omni-Man. He later dies after saving his niece from Thrag. Due to his unique DNA, Oliver has accelerated aging, which is seen through many stages of the comics. Guardians of the Globe. All you need to know about the Guardians of the Globe, they're basically this world's version of the Justice League. Now let's talk about the Teen Team. Well, Invincible isn't technically a member, but he's heavily associated with the Teen Team. So let's talk about the team. First, we have Rudy Rex Connors, aka Robot. Take the ingenuity of Tony Stark, the intelligence of Reed Richards, and the physical attributes of Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, and you get Robot. Robot was originally remote piloting his suit from a test tube, but later fashioned himself a clone body from one of his fellow teammate members, Rexplode. Rudy had a rocky romance with one of his fellow teammates, Monster Girl, which later was the foundation for him becoming a future antagonist to Invincible, and subsequently the savior to the Earth. Rex Sloan, aka Rexplode, was a member of the Teen Team and the Guardians of the Globe. He was the hot-headed member of the Teen Team and Eve's former boyfriend, which landed him at odds with Invincible. He's kind of like Gambit from the X-Men. He has the power of molecular acceleration and was adept in martial arts and acrobatics. Later on in the Invincible War, he found himself face to face with an evil version of Mark, and he used his power to fill his skeleton full of energy, turning himself into a living bomb, thus killing himself and the evil version of Invincible. RIP Rexplode. Next, we have Duplicate, who was a member of the Teen Team and later joined the Guardians of the Globe. Alongside her brother, she was cursed with a power of duplication. She later went on to marry the Immortal, the Image Comics version of Vandal Savage. Did I mention this guy was kinda Abraham Lincoln? He kinda looks like Abraham Lincoln. Next we have Zandel Rudolph, aka Bulletproof, and he was temporarily invincible for a short while, filling in for Mark. He was the black sheep of his family and constantly in comparison to his brother, Tyrone. Tyrone was the smart scientist type, and Zandel was more of the free spirit painter. Tyrone once used Zandel as a guinea pig to give him powers, under the impression that since Zandel and him are identical twins, then their DNA must be exactly the same. Well, it worked out great for Zandel, but when Tyrone used it on himself, it didn't work out. And he was disintegrated during the process. Tyrone later on went on to moonlight as his own brother to fool his parents, and a lot of infighting happened in that family, but we shouldn't talk about that one. Aside from his awkward family relations, he also had a brief stint where he tried to hit on Adam and Eve. Gross. Next we have Monster Girl, aka Amanda. She was cursed with the ability to morph into a monster, much like Marvel's Incredible Hulk. However, the effects of her transformations would cause her to age in reverse. She also had a rocky relationship with Robot, remember him? And technically she fathered a child in her monster form. She's technically gender fluid, as she's female in her human form and male in her monster form. Next we have Cecil Stedman. He's an analog for characters like Amanda Waller and Nick Fury, director of the Global Defense Agency, and sometimes at odds with Invincible and his family. Cecil is a morally ambiguous character, but nonetheless a patriotic government agent. He's later killed by Robot after Invincible returned from an alternate universe. Long story, don't ask. He attempted to warn Cecil about Robot's plans of world domination and got his throat slit. Let's talk about some villains. What's a hero without antagonists? First, we have my personal favorite, Battle Beast. Battle Beast was a former planetary guardian of his home. Due to his constant need for battling, he would eventually become so dependent on the fact that he would eventually take leave and look for stronger combatants. He's kind of like the Lobo of this world if Lobo only wanted to fight, which, come to think about it, kind of is what Lobo wants to do, except he does it for money. Battle Beast does it for the thrill of the hunt. Anissa. Trigger warning for anyone who's sensitive to the topic of assault or violence. Anissa is a female Viltrumite and member of Thrag's army, and is a special antagonist for Mark, seeing as she is the mother to his firstborn child, Marcus Murphy. She is also his attacker, or in other words, his rapist. Thrag is basically General Zod and Saiyan Saga Vegeta. He's ruthless, and he's the Grand Regent of the Viltrum Empire. He's a reoccurring villain in Mark's story and often butts heads with his father Nolan. We also have a Viltrumite named Conquest who shows up and reminds Mark to take over the Earth. Seeing as Mark is a good guy, there's a lot of beef between Conquest and Mark. And eventually, Mark kills Conquest twice. Next, we have Dinosaurus, a mad scientist named David Anders, who is constantly at battle with Invincible and himself, seeing as how he's a Jekyll and Hyde type villain. He later becomes allies with Invincible, but is later killed by Mark at his own request, to finally quell the animal nature. Finally, our last villains on the list, the Mauler twins, a personal favorite of mine. Despite how they look, the Mauler twins are actually geniuses. Well, the first one is, whoever he was actually a brilliant inventor who made a cloning machine and gave himself a clone. But there's a lot of contention between the two on who is the original and who is the clone. Finally, let's talk about the changes. Seeing as this is an adaptation, usually comic book adaptations don't go one for one. Due to the nature of the comics, and seeing how this is about 18 years old by the release of this video, it's hard to tell what will be toned down like other comic book properties such as Amazon's other series, The Boys. It's an adaptation, so not everything's going to be one-to-one. If they stay relatively close, then I'm sure Invincible's going to be a smash hit. Well, if you liked anything I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want more character breakdowns and abridged character breakdowns such as this one, comment down below. See who you want to talk about, and we'll get that going. And again, we have a podcast. Click the link in the description. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Pretty sure I already said that. But hey, when in Rome.